The first body was found at dawn on Tuesday, floating face down in the East River near the 125th Street dock. His name was Vincent "Vinny Red" Russo, professional killer, Genovese family. 23 kills to his name, most of them clean, all of them paid. When the Harbor Patrol pulled him out, they found something unusual, a playing card tucked into his jacket pocket, the ace of spades, and written on it in black ink, "Message received." The second body turned up 6 hours later in an alley off Lenox Avenue. Peter the Hammer Conti, another Genovese soldier. Same playing card, same message. By noon, every made man in New York knew what was happening. Vito Genovese had sent 4 killers into Harlem 3 days earlier with explicit instructions: kill someone close to Bumpy Johnson. Anyone, didn't matter who, just make it hurt, make it public. Send a message that the Genovese family was done negotiating. Now 2 of those 4 killers were dead, and everyone was waiting to see what happened to the other 2. It had started 2 weeks earlier with a simple disagreement over territory. The Genovese family controlled the docks, that was understood. Bumpy controlled Harlem, that was understood too. But there was a gray area, a stretch of warehouses along the East River between 116th and 125th Street, where both operations overlapped. Dock workers by day, numbers runners by night. Money changed hands in both directions, and for years nobody cared enough to fight about it. Then Vito Genovese decided he cared. He sent word through an intermediary: the docks are mine, the warehouses are mine, Harlem ends at the river. Bumpy sent word back: Harlem ends where I say it ends, and I say it includes those warehouses. Genovese tried negotiating, offered Bumpy a percentage. Bumpy refused. Genovese tried intimidating, had his men rough up some of Bumpy's runners. Bumpy had his men rough up twice as many dock workers. The situation escalated, and Vito Genovese, who hadn't become one of the most powerful mobsters in New York by accepting stalemates, made a decision. If Bumpy Johnson won't negotiate, make him suffer. He called in 4 of his best men, professional killers, the kind who didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate, and didn't miss. Vincent Russo, Peter Conti, Michael Shoes Lombardi, and Anthony Tony the Knife DeLuca. Go to Harlem, Genovese told them. Find someone close to Bumpy, I don't care who, his driver, his accountant, some shopkeeper he protects. Just make sure when Bumpy finds the body he understands. This is what happens when you don't respect boundaries. The 4 men left for Harlem that night. What Genovese didn't know, what he couldn't have known because his intelligence network wasn't as good as he thought, was that Bumpy Johnson had informants everywhere, including inside Genovese's inner circle. Bumpy received the warning 6 hours after Genovese gave the order. A phone call, late at night, a voice Bumpy recognized but would never name. 4 men, professional, coming for someone close to you. Orders are to kill and leave the body public. When? They're probably in Harlem already. Bumpy hung up and made 2 calls. The first was to Julius Gordon. 4 Genovese hitters are in Harlem. I want them found. Tonight, before they find their target. The second was to every associate, runner, and business owner he protected. Stay inside. Lock your doors. Don't go anywhere alone. And if you see anyone you don't recognize, call this number immediately. Then, Bumpy did something that surprised Julius. He went to sleep. You're not worried? Julius asked. They think they're hunting, Bumpy said. They don't know they're being hunted. By dawn, Bumpy's network had eyes on all 4 killers. Vincent Russo was staying in a flophouse on 118th Street, watching the morning routines of Bumpy's primary numbers runner. Peter Conti was casing a small grocery store on Lenox Avenue, owned by an elderly woman Bumpy had protected for years. Michael Lombardi was following Bumpy's driver, looking for a moment when the man was alone and vulnerable. Anthony DeLuca was sitting in a diner on 135th Street, watching Small's Paradise, trying to figure out Bumpy's patterns. They were professionals. They were patient. They were good at their jobs. But they were in Bumpy City, and every block they walked, every person they passed, every doorway they used for cover, all of it was reporting back to Bumpy. Julius came to Bumpy's office at Small's Paradise mid-morning with a full report. All four located. None of them had made a move yet. They're still in the surveillance phase. How long before they pick a target? Tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. They're professionals. They'll wait for the right moment. Then we don't wait. We move first. Vincent Russo was walking back to his flophouse around 2 a.m. when three men stepped out of an alley. He reached for his gun, but they were faster. Not with weapons, with their hands. They didn't kill him in the alley. That would have been too quick. They took him to a warehouse near the docks, the same docks Genovese claimed were his territory exclusively. Bumpy was waiting inside. Russo, tied to a chair, tried to maintain his composure. He was a professional. He'd been in tight situations before. "You know why you're here," Bumpy said. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You're a Genovese killer. You came to Harlem to kill someone close to me, to send a message. Yes or no?" Russo said nothing. "I'm going to give you a choice," Bumpy continued. "You can tell me who sent you and what the orders were, or you can deliver a different message back to Genovese." "What message?" "That Bumpy Johnson doesn't negotiate through violence. He responds to it." What happened next took less than 3 minutes. When it was over, Vincent Russo's body was loaded into a car and driven to the East River. A playing card, Ace of Spades, was placed in his jacket pocket with 2 words written on it: "Message received." The body was dumped just before dawn. Peter Conti was found 6 hours later. He'd been more cautious than Russo, but caution only delayed the inevitable. Bumpy's people had been tracking him since he entered Harlem. They knew his patterns, his roots, his vulnerabilities. When Conti stopped in an alley to relieve himself, a basic human need, impossible to avoid, they took him. Same warehouse, same chair, same conversation. Conti lasted longer than Russo. He was tougher, more experienced, but the outcome was the same. His body was found in an alley off Lenox Avenue. Same playing card, same message. By Tuesday afternoon, the other 2 killers knew. Michael Lombardi and Anthony DeLuca weren't stupid. They understood mathematics. 4 men sent into Harlem, 2 dead within hours of each other. That meant someone had been watching them the entire time. That meant the hunters had become the hunted. They tried to leave. Lombardi headed for the subway. DeLuca went for a taxi. Neither made it out of Harlem. When Vito Genovese received the news that all 4 of his killers were dead, he didn't react publicly. He sat in his office in Manhattan, smoking a cigar, thinking. 4 professional killers, all dead within 36 hours of entering Harlem, all found with playing cards marking them as Bumpy's work. The message wasn't subtle. You sent 4 men to kill someone close to me. I killed all 4 of them before they could, and I did it in your territory, the docks you claim to control exclusively. Frank Costello, who was with Genovese when the news arrived, said what everyone was thinking. He didn't just kill your men, he humiliated you. I'm aware, Genovese said coldly. So what do you do now? Send 8 men? 16? No. Then what? Genovese stubbed out his cigar. I negotiate. You said negotiation was over. I was wrong. The meeting happened 3 days later at a neutral location, a restaurant in Little Italy that neither Bumpy nor Genovese controlled. Genovese arrived with 2 bodyguards. Bumpy arrived alone. They sat across from each other at a table in the back. You killed 4 of my men, Genovese said without preamble. I sent them to kill one of mine, Bumpy replied calmly. I was sending a message. I received it, and I sent one back. Genovese was quiet for a moment. The warehouses, the docks, we both have interests there. Yes. You proposed a split, and you refused. I did. Why? Because you didn't propose a split. You proposed that I give up territory and accept a percentage in return. That's not negotiation. That's surrender. Then what do you want? Equal partnership. 50-50. Your dock workers work during the day. My numbers operation runs at night. We split any profits from businesses that operate in both spheres, and neither of us interferes with the other's operations. Genovese considered this. And if I say no? Then you send more men, and I kill them too. And we keep doing this until one of us runs out of soldiers or patience. Or you accept that Harlem isn't negotiable. It's mine, and anyone who tries to take it from me, whether through business or through violence, learns the same lesson your 4 men learned, which is that I don't send messages, I send bodies. The silence stretched for 10 seconds. Then Genovese nodded. 50-50, equal partnership, no interference. Agreed. They shook hands. The story of the 4 killers became legend in New York's underworld, not because of the violence was common, but because of the speed and precision. 4 professional killers entered Harlem with one job: send a message through murder. They were all dead within 36 hours, not in shootouts, not in dramatic confrontations. They were systematically hunted, captured, and eliminated before they could complete their mission. And each body was marked with a playing card, the ace of spades, the death card, carrying a message that was impossible to misinterpret. Message received. Vito Genovese never sent men into Harlem again. The 50-50 partnership lasted for the rest of Bumpy's life. And whenever young mobsters asked why the Genovese family didn't just take over Harlem's operations by force, the old-timers would tell them about the 4 killers. About how Genovese sent his best men to send a message, and how Bumpy Johnson sent the message back in body bags. About how those 4 men thought they were hunting someone close to Bumpy, but Bumpy was hunting them, and he found them first. Years later, someone asked Bumpy how he'd done it, how he'd tracked and eliminated 4 professional killers in less than 2 days. Bumpy's answer became as famous as the story itself. They came to my city thinking they were invisible, but in Harlem, everybody sees everything. The shopkeeper, the kid selling newspapers, the old woman sweeping her stoop, they're all watching, and they all know who protects them. So when 4 strangers show up asking questions and following people, I know about it before they finish breakfast. But how did you move so fast? Because I didn't wait for them to strike first. Genovese thought sending killers was a show of strength, but it was actually a show of weakness. If he'd been strong, he would have negotiated. Instead, he tried to intimidate, and intimidation only works if the other person is afraid. Were you afraid? Bumpy smiled. I was born in Harlem, raised in Harlem. Every street, every building, every person. I know them all. Genovese sent 4 men into my home and expected them to operate freely. That's not strategy, that's arrogance. And arrogance gets you killed. What happened to the bodies? They were found where they needed to be found, in places that sent their own message. The docks Genovese claimed to control, the streets he thought he could use to threaten me. I didn't just kill his men, I killed them in his territory, on his docks in his city, and I made sure everyone knew. If you come for me in Harlem, you don't leave. Not alive, not in one piece, not at all. The playing cards, the aces of spades, became part of Bumpy's legend. Some said he'd used the same card for years, marking every enemy who'd made the mistake of underestimating him. Others said each card was unique, kept as a tally of victories. Bumpy never confirmed or denied either story, but everyone agreed on one thing. If you saw that card, it was already too late. Vito Genovese lived until 1969, dying in prison of a heart attack. In the years before his death, people asked him about his biggest regret. He gave different answers to different people, but to one close associate, he said something that never made it into the history books. "I should have listened when they told me Bumpy Johnson protected Harlem like it was his family. I thought protection meant he'd fight for it. I didn't realize it meant he'd already won before the fight started." What do you mean? He had eyes everywhere, informants everywhere, loyalty everywhere. I sent 4 men into Harlem thinking they were invisible, but they were being watched from the moment they crossed 110th Street. I thought I was sending a message. I was actually handing him 4 easy targets. Would you do it differently now? Genovese smiled sadly. I wouldn't have sent anyone at all. I would have accepted the 50-50 split from the beginning. Pride cost me 4 good men and months of lost revenue, and all I got in return was a lesson I should have already known. You don't fight a man in his own kingdom. You respect the boundaries, or you lose. Bumpy Johnson died in 1968, 1 year before Genovese. At his funeral, over 5,000 people came to pay their respects. Among them, sitting in the back, hat pulled low, trying not to be noticed, was a representative from the Genovese family. He came to pay respects, to acknowledge what everyone already knew, that Bumpy Johnson had been one of the smartest, most strategic, and most untouchable men in the history of organized crime, that he'd protected Harlem not through fear, but through loyalty, that he'd won wars not by fighting them, but by making sure his enemies understood the cost of starting them, and that when Vito Genovese sent 4 killers to send a message, Bumpy Johnson had responded with a lesson that changed the power structure of New York forever. You don't send messages to a king. You show respect, or you send body bags. And Bumpy Johnson always made sure the bags went back to the people who sent them.